Whaatwaa family, welcome back to the channel, man. It's your boy, Mr. Whaatwaa. Today. Hey, yo, skirt, man, check this out. Alright, let's see what we got today, man. Do Hadiths show that the Quran is missing verses? By Dr. Shabir. Okay, let's get into it now. Remember, if y'all didn't know, man, Whaatwaa family, we are the littest family on YouTube, and that's a fact. Also, before we get started, put a like on this video. Remember, if you got a video you want me to react to, get down in the comment section, post the link if you will. Get to it, man. Let's go ahead and check this video out. This is some very good information. So guys, please listen, take care, you know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and get some of this knowledge right here. Let's go.
Welcome back. Now we answer questions we've received from you, our viewers. If you have a question, visit our website, QuranSpeaks.com. Dr. Shabir, the question is, how do you respond to the claim that some hadith indicate that the Quran as we have it is missing some parts?
Yeah, indeed there are hadiths of that nature, and even more so, there are narratives which are found in the classical commentaries on the Quran. For example, it may be said in the introduction to Surah Al-Ahzab, which is the 33rd chapter of the Quran, that this surah used to be of the length of Surah Al-Baqarah, which is the second chapter of the Quran, and which we know now to be the longest chapter of the Quran. And but when the Quran was compiled, there were verses which were not included. So how did classical Muslim scholars deal with this? And why did they include this information? Well, to them, it made sense because they had the idea that verses might be abrogated. A verse might be revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, but it is not collected in the final compilation. Classical Muslim scholars had the idea that the angel Gabriel came to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and read the Quran with him, or the Prophet, peace be upon him, was reviewing the Quran with the angel Gabriel year after year. And then in the final year, before the Prophet, peace be upon him, passed away, there was a final revision or a recitation to the angel Gabriel. And only that which was recited in that final year, that is what constitutes the book as it should be, and as we have it now. So from that perspective, nothing is really missing. Yes, something was revealed to the Prophet, peace be upon him, at one time, but now abrogated. And they justify that by referring to some verses of the Quran. For example, in the second chapter of the Quran, verse 106, it says, "Ma nansakh min ayatin aw nunsiha na'ti bi khayrin minha aw mithliha." Whatever of our revelations we cause to be forgotten or we abrogate, we bring one better than it or equal to it. And do you not know that God is able to do all things? So from that perspective, God might have revealed something to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, for a limited duration, and then took it back. So that no longer needs to be recited as part of the Quran. So from that perspective, it's all, everything that we have in the Quran is what the Prophet, peace be upon him, left for us to have, and God intended for us to have, and what was no longer included, that is because God revealed it for a temporary time and then took it back. That's all within his prerogative, and that's fine. Now, looking at this from a modern perspective and try to make sense of the whole history, many of us find that the whole doctrine of abrogation, where one verse of the Quran would abrogate another verse, some verses might be taken away and so on, we find that to be very complicated and unnecessary. And some non-Muslim scholars as well have felt the same. John Burton, for example, he has written much about this, and he thought that Muslims developed this idea about the abrogation of the Quran, and then to justify that idea about abrogation of the Quran, they imagined that there were verses which were first revealed and then later on repealed. Of course, not the same persons who imagined this are the ones who were on the scene. It's a later imagination, like in retrospect, read back into the early history. So the people there on the scene would have known that there's no such verse that's revealed and then repealed. But later on, people had this idea that verses were once revealed, later repealed, and then to justify that idea further, they came up with all this, these narratives saying that, you know, this surah should have been that long, but it isn't, and that's okay. Why do we feel now that this doctrine of abrogation is not acceptable? Well, for many reasons. One is that you must have some concrete evidence that that some verses were repealed. You must have, for example, some physical evidence that there was a verse and it's no longer there. And sometimes to account for the lack of the physical evidence, here too you have further stories. For example, there is a story about a certain passage which was said to be repealed. So when it was asked, well, where is that passage? The answer was that the wife of the Prophet, peace be upon him, Aisha, the mother of the believers, had it written on a parchment, and it was under her bed. And then while they were busy after the death of the Prophet, peace be upon him, or at this situation of the death of the Prophet, peace be upon him, one of the small animals, it could be a lamb or a goat, came in and ate the parchment. It's a classical dog at my homework type of story. But that story is given in the tradition to further justify the idea, yes, we had some verses which are not collected in the Quran as we have it now, and those verses are no longer there. We don't have the physical evidence of it because the last piece of such physical evidence we would have had was eaten by a goat. So such narratives are not the most authentic narratives in our tradition, and when we put this all together with the bare physical evidence that we have, we find that there's no reason to accept these narratives.
So you would discount those hadith then?
Yes, and in fact, some non-Muslim reviewers have come to the same conclusion. As for the collection of all of the Quran together, William Montgomery Watt, in his introduction to the Quran, which is his revision of his teacher's work, Richard Bell, says that the collection of the Quran was done in such a public way that if there was anything that deserved inclusion, it would have been included. And if anything was included, it's because it deserved inclusion. So what that means in essence is that what's in the Quran is what had to be there, and what is not, it shouldn't have been there in the first place. So we have then so many copies of the Quran from ancient times, from the first century of Islam in particular, and all of these bear evidence to the same basic text that we are reading today, at least in the consonantal skeletal outline. And we do not find this kind of variation where there is another, one Quran with so many other verses and the other one with less verses. Oh, we might find that an unfinished copy, or rather what was once a finished copy, survives only in part. But we do not find anything that is extraneous to what we have as the text of the Quran as we are reading today.
Thank you for sharing those thoughts, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.
Yo, Whaatwaa family, man, get down in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the video. Also, if you got a video you want me to react to, please get down in the comment section. Post the link and I will get to it. So, just to answer the question, the Quran is very much so complete. I look at hadiths like the same ways that I look at certain du'as. They were basically, the way I feel, they would have probably been chapters or been verses in the Quran, but they didn't make it. But they were very special in the way that they were like, you know what, even though, to me, like I said, this is the way I'm just getting this off my chest. Even though this was not able to make it into the Quran, it's still a powerful wording. So I think that's where we get these things called du'as and hadiths from, and those are still the same. Those are still powerful as well. But everything in the Quran is complete, which means that also you got the du'as and you got the hadiths. They are okay for you to recite, or they're okay for you to repeat, or anything in that nature. But it's also something that you can say, you know what? Something that I can do right now real fast is I can recite a dua, which will probably take like maybe a couple seconds. But if you have the time, then you can say, you know what, I can actually read a verse in the Quran. Some, not even a verse, but a chapter. Some of them have verses maybe past 100. Some have less than 100. So that's just what I'm getting. But just to answer that question right there, the Quran is very much so complete. Our doctor definitely explained it well. When I look at the Quran, because mind you guys, we've been reading the Quran, right? We've been reading the Quran for about two months now, 2 or 3 months. Basically every week we read a verse, not a verse, but a chapter. What I want to say to guys is that you don't understand the real of Islam until you open up a Quran. No matter what videos you watch, no matter if you watch videos from the Whaatwaa family, or no matter what you read before or what you heard before, until you open up that Quran and start reading, that's when you understand the real. Anybody can say anything they want, anybody can make up anything they want, anybody could, you know, produce any kind of videos they want, but the truth is in that book. The truth is in that book. And you need to open it up and read it. That's just my advice, man. Get down in the comment section, guys. Let me know what y'all think. If this is your first time on the channel, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. Join the Whaatwaa family. Also, before you leave the channel, put a like on this video. And guys, I will see you tomorrow, inshallah. So please take care. Mwah, mwah. Stay safe. Whaatwaa.